Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. So, we are just going to give people just a few minutes to come into the room. Hopefully, everyone is doing well. Tonight, I hope you are feeling blessed and highly favored and off to a good start for your week. So, the notification should be going out. We're going to give people a chance to come into the room. As you're doing that, I do want to go ahead and thank my patrons. Thank y'all so much for supporting my content. A special thank you to my VIP patrons, Ray Ray and Daniel. I really appreciate you for helping making these Hey Y'all Tuesdays possible. And if you would like to support my Patreon or purchase any merch, those links are available in the description box below. Hey Sade, hey MM. So people are gonna slowly come into the room. Briefly, as people are coming into the room, I wanted to kind of recap on a video that I made on yesterday, a live video talking about a petition that has gained, last time I checked, I believe 23,000 signatures, requesting that Colin Kaepernick remove the cover art for that. I did a breakdown of that yesterday, so if you're interested in that, you can check out that video. Hey Mike Brooks, hey Jupiter. You can check that video out. So I'm not gonna do like a heavy recap, but I did want to just kind of clarify something, because one thing that I discussed in the video, I don't think I really did a good summation of what I was trying to say as far as getting my point across. So I wanted to just clarify a little bit more. But one of the points that I made is I brought up the fact that, I brought up the fact that a lot of times some of the loudest social justice warriors, or people that, are the loudest or get the platforms or the microphones as it pertains to social justice, sometimes use that as a proxy for sexual desirability and accessibility. And I wanted to just add more to that point. What I was basically trying to get to is that I don't care who you are. I don't care what your cause is, right? If the main factor of that cause is for accessibility to another demographic of people, or sexual accessibility, then it is misleading to gather people behind that cause under by masking it differently, right? So what I was saying is that is that we've seen that so much when you kind of look at some of these entertainers, celebrities, even politicians, some of the people from Hollywood that they'll throw in front of us, right? You'll have, I'm not saying this because I'm not super familiar with her new work, but I'm using Issa Rae as an example. I don't watch her new stuff. I saw some of her stuff like back, like her YouTube days. I'm not super familiar with her new stuff, but I'm trying to make a point here if you'll follow me. I saw a picture the other day where um, she and these other actresses, I'm guessing this was a still shot from one of her TV shows or movies or whatever, and it's like all these women in pink, and they're like, tatted, right? And they have on these bandanas, and they're kind of like, I feel, yes, even though you're black, you're mocking what you believe or you are trying to push as the image of black culture for it's like almost predatory, because like, who are you doing this for, right? And what messaging are you sending when you are doing this on nationally televised platforms? And we talked about how sometimes, so I'm not talking about Issa Rae in particular, but I'm just talking about that theme, putting some of these issues to the forefront. And I even use Don Lemon as an example. And it's like you're propping yourself up to be this one thing, but you're different behind closed doors. And people want to make sure that when you are uh, leading a cause, jumping on a cause, being a part of a cause, you're not kind of like turning into or becoming the thing that you hate, right? So, why I brought that up is that your cause should be the same regardless of like who that person is. I'm not going to say your cause should be the same. I'm going to say that you should have interest. If this is something you truly believe in, if these are your principles, if you really believe in what you're talking about and pushing forward, then that cause should have just as much merit regardless of who the person is dating. So I think that's the point I was trying to get to. Not that it doesn't have merit to be brought up as a part of the conversation, particularly when somebody is possibly grifting like Colin Kaepernick. I think, it is something to be looked at and worthy of being discussed and being brought up and having merit, but it can't be the full, like, oh, well, if he was with a dark-skinned black woman, or if he was with a woman that looked like the woman on the cover, then we may have not gave him this smoke. Y'all see what I'm saying? You don't want it to be an example of, it made me think about the guy, Jesse, it's not Jussie Smollett. It was another, I think his name is Jesse. It was a light-skinned guy who... He was a light-skinned guy. I think he has like light green eyes or something. And he was doing this speech at some award show, right? And he did this speech. And, when people saw or knew what his wife looked like, it was like they were like super heavy on his nuts. But then I don't even know the whole background of their relationship. But when him and his wife ended up separating, it's like then you had people coming at him and off of him because the demographic of the person that he was changing switched up. So it's like, is now his message like not as valid, or or was it really, you didn't really care about the message? It was like, oh, I'm being represented here. So I just think, those some things to think about. Jesse Williams, that was his name. I just think those are some things to consider, because I feel like a lot of people have gotten played, in that regard. People will use people to their own means, or to their own means for an end. And so I just wanted to clarify that, because I don't feel like I really wrapped up what I was trying to say as it related to that the other day. So, but Sade said on Kaz's website, it's just black men and boys. So the book could have been the same. He has never centered black women. And the interesting thing about that is that, like, he's not the only one. Like, even as we've seen Black Lives Matter, I find it interesting that the money, right? The money comes in by advocating for typically, or what we know to be, heterosexual black men. And then you get in front of the camera and you say, oh, well, this was always a trans movement anyway. That's what it really was about. And even if you kind of look at where the money is going. I saw something the other day, and I think probably nearly 50%, maybe even more, of those donations are going to trans organizations. And I don't see anything particularly wrong with that on the surface level. You can give your money to, your organization. You can give your money to whoever the heck you want to, or whatever your cause is. However, the problem comes in when you are presenting this one thing, or you've built this foundation as it relates to one group of people, and then you're doing something different, right? Behind the scenes, or behind closed doors. I'm not gonna read that. That's funny. Oh, y'all said my mic is making a lot of noise. I think because it's on my sweater. That should be better. Let me know. But anyway, so I just want to clarify a little bit on that from yesterday. But all right, y'all. So let's jump into our topics for tonight. So as time goes on, as time reveals itself, you have more and more examples of your officials, or whatever, leaders, heroes, whatever you want to call them, lying, backtracking, okay? This is particularly as it relates to Dr. Fauci. Some of us has been trying to share that forever. This information is, it's like over time, stuff keeps happening that like at this point, I feel like if you don't think anything is up, if you don't have any suspicions about anything that we've seen with like the COVID lockdowns, the measures, the things that have been said by the officials, the things that have been done that don't really make sense, then I don't really know what to tell you, okay? I saw Thomas Massey tweet something today about how the politicians uh on Capitol Hill are only wearing politicians, staffers, like all these people on Capitol Hill are only wearing the masks in front of the cameras and stuff like this. Um So, it's just been a lot of theater going on, and it's unfortunate. And I feel like, on one hand, people that don't want to see the truth, this late in the game, we're over a year later, you probably don't care about the truth, or even being, I would say, objective enough to be like, they're giving us conflicting information. That's the least I could say, right? That's like you like that's just as truthful as it gets. They've been giving us conflicting information. I think anybody in their right mind should be able to say that they've been giving us conflicting information. But so we're going to take a look at this video of Fauci just recently admitting that even after the vaccinations, he kept wearing a mask because of how it looks, right? Not because he felt like it was efficient. And comparing that to just months ago, saying that was not the case. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at this video, and then we are going to talk about it. Let's see if y'all can see this. Hold on. There's a volume playing. Oh.
The infection. If we're not spreading the infection, isn't it just theater? No, it's not. The vaccine and you're wearing 2 masks. Isn't that theater? No, that's not. Here we go again with the theater. Let's get down to the facts. I didn't want to look like I was giving mixed signals, but being a fully vaccinated person, the chances of my getting infected in an indoor setting is extremely low. Made the recommendation change. I didn't want to look like I was giving mixed signals, but being a fully vaccinated person, the chances of my getting infected in an indoor setting is extremely low. And that's the reason why in indoor settings now, I feel comfortable about not wearing a mask. You're telling everybody to wear a mask, whether they've had an infection or a vaccine. What I'm saying is they have immunity, and everybody agrees they have immunity. What studies do you have that people that have had the vaccine or have had the infection are spreading the infection? If we're not spreading the infection, isn't it just theater? No, it's not. The vaccine and you're wearing 2 masks. Isn't that theater? No, that's not. Here we go again with the theater. Let's get down to the facts. I didn't want to look like I was giving mixed signals, but being a fully vaccinated person, the chances of my getting infected in an indoor setting is extremely low.
All right, so y'all hear that? Like, so this was just back in March where, Fauci was basically saying, like, oh, here y'all go with this narrative again about this theater. It's not theater. I'm wearing this mask because it helps. And then here we are just a few months later. And he's like, yeah, I was kind of just wearing it because of theater. I'm, as a vaccinated person, I feel like, not even I am, totally okay to be indoors, but I was just wearing a mask because of what other people might say or think. Now, this is the main proponent for the science. Trust the science. But somehow, if I tell people this, if I show people this is not theory. We can literally hear the words come right out of these politicians' mouth, and then you will literally have somebody turn around and be like, "Oh, you don't trust the science. You're a conspiracy conspiracy theorist." Um, there has been the science to prove that even with a mask, you had people that were getting infected. There has been anecdotal, I have anecdotal situations, or knowledge of people that were wearing masks, particularly like my brother-in-law out here wearing a mask that still ended up getting COVID. And too much of this was turned into political issues. Like, this should have never been political. This should have always been about the safety of the population, and also what actually makes sense. Not of, oh, well, we feel like this is going to protect you, or just do it because just to do it. And so it really doesn't help that somebody that I follow, well, if y'all follow me on Instagram, make sure you're following me on Instagram, RhondaMary Vids, VIDS. I posted this last week. Let me see. I'm gonna read it to y'all. I posted this last week, It says Trader Joe's, Walmart, Costco drop mask mandate for fully vaccinated customers. The stores will not ask proof of vaccination. CVS has also dropped their mask mandate for fully vaccinated customers, no proof or vaccination required. So I said, Joe Biden's statement, the CDC, Gavin Newsom, and now all this right within days of each other. Did they all have some type of big meeting, or are they trying to cover something up? Like, what's really happening? Y'all, here we are a week later, and this is what people are theorizing. I would say this is a theory. We hope it's a theory. We don't exactly know yet how far, this passport thing is going to go. We don't know how far the citizens are going to allow it to go. Okay. Every day I have to have a new reckoning with the whole Kanye West slavery was a choice thing, because like at this point some of this stuff does not make sense. And we're allowing it to not make sense. Anyway, let's go into this. So this is according to Vox.com. Vaccine passports can liberate America. First of all, I told y'all they're trying to change the definitions and our understanding of words. Liberate, even liberal, foundationally meant freedom. Now we are being forced into an era where these words are starting to mean restrictions. This is not historically what liberty, liberate, and even liberal has meant. So that's why when a liberal comes out and says something or agrees with something like we should ban menthols, that does not make sense. We should make vaccine passports mandatory. That is not a liberal, what liberal actually means. That is not a liberal position. Okay? There is a very huge effort to change, our ways of thinking by how we are relating to words and definitions. It's very intentional. It's very intentional. It's so intentional that probably every Tuesday or every other Tuesday, I'm giving y'all an example of how the media has recently done this. Okay. But let's keep moving. Vaccine passports can liberate America. The CDC's new mask guidance promises freedom. When's the last time America promised freedom or allegedly promised freedom to a group of people? Think about that. The CDC's new mask guidance promises freedom. Vaccine passports can make it a reality. Y'all listen to this, because now this is why I'm starting to think that you have all these stores coming out at the same time. Like, oh, not only do you no longer have to wear a mask, we're not going to ask you, we're not going to ask you anything. Just come on into our stores. Now that the CDC has said that people who have been vaccinated against COVID-19 can shed their masks, there are obvious questions. How do you verify that people are vaccinated? Especially in situations in which some people can't get vaccinated, including young children, or may remain vulnerable after, like some immunocompromised people. How can we guarantee they're safe from the unmasked as mandates disappear? Y'all remember me telling y'all who's really in control of America? The corporations. We've been talking about this for a long time. And so these things are just moving forward. Unlike many of the challenges we face with COVID-19 in the past year, there's a clear answer: vaccine passports. Under this system, vaccinated people could prove proof of inoculation to unlock privileges they didn't have before. Do y'all hear the way they're talking to us? They're trying to make you think that it is a privilege to breathe fresh air, that it is a privilege as a human to participate in society during a virus that has a 99.7% survival rate, that we are getting closer and closer to herd immunity. Do y'all hear the absolute absurdity, the absolute insanity? I can't even, the depth of how insane this is and how anybody could ignore this or pretend that this makes sense is beyond me. Unlock privileges like going into a grocery store without a mask or patronizing a restaurant with no social distancing requirements. Other countries have successfully adopted this strategy. In Israel, which has a world's most advanced vaccination campaign, you really want to use Israel right now as an example? I mean, okay. A system of green passes has let the country almost fully reopen while seeing daily new COVID cases drop by more than 95% and daily deaths nearly eliminated. But America has already failed in adopting anything like the Israeli system, with little sign that will change. The CDC stamped cards people get with their shots are easily copied or forged. President Joe Biden's administration has rejected calls to adopt nationwide vaccine passports, instead leaving the issue to the private sector. Some states have always moved to ban the use of vaccine passports, blocking government entities, or in Florida, even private businesses from asking for proof of vaccination. Meanwhile, some major retailers are lifting mask mandates for those who are vaccinated, largely by relying on an honor system. Legitimate questions exist about how a vaccine passport will work in the US, but it's worth figuring them out given what's at stake: a quicker, safer path back to pre pandemic normal. I don't know about y'all, but I've been living pretty normal. For the most part, normal. Like, you know, I feel like we've gotten to the point where some people have found comfort in this whole new normal thing, another way that they're trying to play, you know, with our mental new normal. No such things. Those words do not go together. Those are oppositional words, right? So even with something like that, but it's getting to the point where we have people being comforted in so many lies that have been told. Even now, you have the CDC, the same people that were saying trust the science, trust Dr. Fauci, trust CDC, where at least I've been consistent. I haven't trusted them from the beginning. Well, the first 2 weeks I did. The first 2 weeks in the house, blase, blase. But as soon as I started reading like the other news and information that was coming out of Italy and, coming out of different countries in Africa and just all these different things, and looking at these other reports and studies, I believe one of the places trying to get to herd immunity, I think that was Sweden, if I remember correctly, but I was looking at all this different information, and I'm like, something's not adding up. So at least I've been consistent. But oddly enough, strangely enough, interestingly enough, some of the people that have been shouting us down, talking about believe the science, trust the science, I've had grown men on Twitter wishing death on me. For what reason? getting mad at people. Don't be mad at me because I'm young and healthy and my immune system works like God intended. Why is that a reason to be upset with me? Why be mad at me? Why be more mad at me than your actual officials that have been lying to you and manipulating you? And I just showed an example of Fauci doing just that and being very honest about, yeah, I was still wearing a mask because of how I thought it was going to look. Like, this is a grown man talking about how I thought it was going to look, you know? So now you have some people, the trust the science people, that are now not trusting when the CDC and Fauci is saying you can take off your mask if you've been vaccinated. Why? Because it's been a psychological programming that has been going on over the past year. They've been programming you with their words, right? Television programming. They've been programming you with these words and making you feel like death is on the horizon for young, healthy people, right? Death is right on the horizon. And now you have these people that mentally, they can't even fathom going forward without a mask. The case against vaccine passport typically comes down to a narrow interpretation of freedom. The interpretation of freedom is never narrow. Let's start there. People should be able to make their own choices, the thinking goals about whether they get vaccinated, and no one should try to coerce them to get the shot. And even if someone does get vaccinated, that's a private matter that shouldn't be used by others to limit what a person can do. But in a longer term view, vaccine passports actually unlock more freedom. There's no such thing as more freedom than pre-COVID. Not as it pertains to COVID and lockdowns. There's no such thing. Does not exist. That statement does not make sense. How can we get what's more freedom as it relates to health issues before pre-COVID as it relates to COVID? By safely and quickly returning to the pre-pandemic normal. Over the past year of the COVID-19 pandemic, much of America demanded 100% freedom in the face of the coronavirus, rejecting measured lockdowns, mask mandates, and test and trace that critics claim violated fundamental rights as they did. So much of the country often got close to 0% freedom as the coronavirus spread and people and businesses closed down. So this just goes on to talk about vaccine passports work and basically how we should either adopt the Israel system, right, making this pass basically federal, or how the corporations should adopt it. So this goes right into what I've been telling people, for a while. I don't think we should be controlling what corporations are doing to that extent. However, if corporations are going to do things that go against the rights of the citizens, these corporations should not receive bailouts. They should not be up under the federal government in this way. We have to stop allowing the government to show favoritism to these corporations. And also us, we need to make sure that we are diversifying where we shop. We need to make sure we are voting with our dollars. We need to make sure that we are supporting local businesses. We need to make sure that we are not giving our money to businesses that we don't feel like align with our values. In a lot of ways, it's just really that simple. It's just really that simple. And it's unfortunate that people like Dr. Fauci are not going to be held accountable for their lies. Nobody is going to hold Dr. Fauci accountable unless every now and again you may have like a reporter. You've had a couple of reporters that'll call him out. You will have like a Rand Paul that calls him out. But ultimately, these people are able to get away with the constant lies and manipulation and misdirection. And if I don't even care about your position on vaccinations, your position on COVID, even if you want to believe everything opposite of what the actual numbers say on paper, anybody that cannot reckon with the fact that we've been told a lot of conflicting things, I don't even know if there's any hope in that case. And even how we treated our local business owners, how the government, I should say specifically, treated our local business owners during the COVID lockdowns, while in a lot of ways favoring the corporations. Ask how many days Walmart or the Walton family or Jeff Bezos or whoever took off during the lockdown, right? But you will have things like that, favoritism from the government that has, in a lot of ways, emboldened these corporations. Who's on the side of the little people? Who's on the side of the middle class? Now, I did content about this previously. Now you have an even wider gap. Even wider gap. Some of these millionaires turned into billionaires. Double, triple, quadruple their wealth. A huge strain on the middle class. We haven't even begun to see the levels of inflation we're going to see. We got the short end of the stick. And now you have the nerve, when we were forced to shop with you, over the last year because of the lockdowns and because you had so many people being forced into these big box stores. After we were forced to shop with you, now even as the CDC says, nah, it's cool, y'all, you have corporations that feel emboldened to you were just telling us to trust the science. Now even the idea of people thinking that corporations should be emboldened to push vaccine passports is absolutely ridiculous. Health should actually be a private issue. A private issue. The other day I asked on Twitter, I was just like, why do y'all keep telling people congratulations for getting the vaccination? And the tweet, I don't know, probably like well over 300 likes or retweets, a pretty good shared tweet. But people got a good laugh out of it, but I was really trying to understand the mentality behind it. The only congratulations I can remember on any medical issue has probably been the birth of a child. Bringing birth into the world. This whole thing was game, and we all got played from last year till now. The establishment and media can even hide it no more. I really would like for the eat the rich crowd to like make the connection. While you were being told to stay at home. All the people that you swear eat the rich, whatever, they shouldn't have this much money. The government colluded with the rich. Like, thank you, Lavon. Thank you for the super chat. Bruce said masks are the liberal version of the MAGA hat. Like, I saw somebody on Twitter who said, what he say? I don't wanna not wear a mask because I don't want people to think I'm a Republican. I'm thinking, like, y'all are like, these are grown people. These are grown people. The crazy part about it is I highly doubt that somebody that would say something like that even recognizes the implication of the groupthink, the softness, the inability to stand on your own 2 feet, the inability to make a decision for yourself as a human adult. Like, who cares? Who cares that people think you're a Republican? Who gives a crap if it's something you want to do? Like, I can't even understand it. MM said they are mad at you because you want to accept the government as your God and husband like they have. -3% of us survive the psychological programming. Not -3%. Thank you, MM. Thank you for the super chat. I mean, like, what are they not getting about this? Like, what are they not getting? Big government, big corporation, big media, big education, big health, big etc. Big equals bad. Why people can want to continue to expand on the horrible things that we've seen, I just giving more power instead of localizing some of these things and putting more power back into the hands of these communities. Everyday people that look like me and you, we are continually outsourcing so much of our lives. We are outsourcing to the big. And some people just haven't, like, a lot of these people in DC, I think it gets a little different because it's almost like when you can't pull up on somebody, when they can't see your face, when you are just another number. I just don't think they feel like they, not everybody, but a lot of politicians, I just don't even feel like they feel like they think they had that same level of connection of a local politician that, some of them don't be that great either. But it's different. It's a different level of responsibility. It's a different level of connection to the people. It's a different level of I could see you out. Like, so, but all the bigs. I mean, and unchanged. He said approximately 3% of us survive the Great Deception. You might have been almost been right with that -3. Like, it's looking real scarce out here. Real scarce out here. But all right, y'all, let's talk about the NYPD being banned from the Pride Parade that's going to be happening in New York City. I have a video here. If you're just coming into the room, make sure you give me a thumbs up so we can help this video get out. Hello to everybody just coming in the room. But I just want to briefly talk about this because let's watch the video and then we'll talk about it.
It's one of the biggest celebrations each year, but next month's Pride March will look a lot different. We're not allowing NYPD groups to march or participate in our events. Members of law enforcement told to stay away. Don't march, don't even provide the security. This is not the end of a relationship, but the start of a different conversation. Andre Thomas is the co-chair of NYC Pride. People forget sometimes that our movement was started as a reaction to police brutality, and so that's kind of the core of our mission has been. Working against that. And Pride is a celebration, but it's also a protest. A protest that began more than 50 years ago with an uprising at the Stonewall Inn. The actions and the laws were discriminatory and oppressive, and for that, I apologize. In 2019, an apology from police. Thomas says more recent interactions with officers helped lead them to this decision. It's a divisive message. It's a hurtful message. I have had to listen to people tell me how they've never been so hurt in their life. This is the worst case scenario of the oppressed becoming the oppressors. Brian Downey is the president of the Gay Officers Action League. Seeing those people wearing those uniforms, representing queer identity, LGBTQ identity, it kind of sends the message that, hey, there's people here that are fighting for us from the inside.
All right, so y'all kind of see what's happening. So the NYPD has been banned from the Pride Parade. I read some follow-up material on it, and it looks like um I saw one person saying they can't hear it. Let me know if y'all couldn't hear. But so you had the NYPD being banned from the Pride Parade, and I see that some people, on social media are upset by this. They don't like it. I see that you have commentators that are upset by this. That don't like it. I've read follow up material information basically saying that instead of the police, they're going to replace it with private security and communal policing. So my question would be specifically to people that have no interest in participating in the Pride Parade, like, why would you care? Why would you care that people at the Pride Parade don't want to have officers there? It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense to the point that some of these people, the same people that are upset now and feeling some type of way, were the same people that were saying, oh, if people want to abolish the police, then why don't y'all just not answer the calls? Why don't y'all just not go there? Then we'll see how much you need the police. So, like, which one is it? To me, I see freedom of choice. I see freedom of association. I see personal responsibility. I also see the opportunity for other people to see how this whole abolish the police thing would play out. Let's see how much money they end up spending on private policing. Let's see what actually happens. For people to wish something bad on people for being like, nah, you know what, we got it, we cool. It's such a non It's such a non-issue. Why would you want to force yourself on people that like don't want you to be there? I guess I just don't see the actual problem. And I actually, I think this would be a perfect time to examine on a smaller scale when people like abolish the police. We don't need the police here, to see how this would actually work out. And if organizations want the opportunity to have private policing, they have that right. So now those police officers can be removed. Private security, whoever they want, right? Like the freedom of choice, they can pay with their money out of their organization who they want to be there. Okay, because then we have to go into the discussion of the monopoly of force. Why should police officers have a monopoly on force? If I don't want to engage the officers, now those officers, as people that are paid through our tax dollars, now they have time to use those resources towards other avenues. So, I could possibly see how the officer at the end who's like, well, I just think this is, I just think this is being more exclusive because, I've been an officer and I've supported you guys. I could see that maybe being hurtful, or I could see that being hurtful, or maybe to somebody's feelings that's a part of that community. But if you are not a part of that community, if you are not even going to be in attendance, why do you care? Mr. Annibal said, "This is 911. What's your emergency? Someone got shot on the gay parade and it is pandemonium. Send someone. Sorry, we are banned." But even, and on that level, I do agree that the wording, the wording, I don't think I would have been as in opposition of, oh, you're banned, right? But if it's like it could, why can it not be a situation where it's like, hey, if we need you, we'll give you a ring? And I think they did say that, and they didn't say it in the video that I showed y'all, but the other articles that kind of broke down, we're going to have private policing. We're going to kind of make it more of like a communal policing thing. And police are not completely banned. If something happens, they will be available to us. We will call them, this and the other. That was a much better breakdown of what this other guy was saying that's going on. But y'all making me laugh. Said they want to turn everything into Chaz and Chop. I wonder whatever happened with Chaz. But sometimes people just have to see for themselves, and that is a part of freedom. That's literally what it is. When we're talking about, whether we're talking about COVID lockdowns, or whether we're talking about not wanting police officers, at this event. Sometimes you do what you want to do, and then you have to be held responsible for those decisions for those decisions that have been made. And some of the same people being highly upset about this would be just as, or if not even more upset, if you would have the police officers come there, and then you would have patrons, saying mean things, whatever, gestures, possibly antagonizing these officers, right? So, to deflect, to prevent any of those situations, especially after we're kind of off the heels of last year. Why are y'all wishing bad things on these people? Why are y'all saying it's going to be a war zone? Why? Do y'all really not believe that people can gather for a parade and generally just be people? I don't wish anything to happen to anybody. I do not wish that. However, we know what the gun laws look like in New York. So, you know, it's not like they're going to have the ability to carry there. So they have to be calculated and responsible for the decisions that they are making, and, the path that they're creating, and why we don't want people to feel the weight of their own decisions. Long tongue son said, I just see a scripted scenario. I don't know if you're talking about a scripted scenario as far as them banning the police or something that could happen, but I do think that now you're having so many people being bothered by this, or kind of propping something up, that it's like, you know I think it has a possibility to create a certain energy. But we know anytime you have a large gathering, right? Whether it's a football game, whether it's a parade, a protest, anything. If you put a lot of humans in one place at a time, you cannot control, everybody there. We can't really control what's happening. But I would hope that I was gonna say, I would hope people would common sense, but you never really know these days. Uh, but I would trust that, someone that's going to bring these many people together wouldn't want that type of stain on their parade or their organization going forward. They wouldn't want to intentionally put their patrons in harm's way, and they would create methods and avenues to secure the safety of the people that are going to be attending. And also, we cannot constantly coddle people. Also, the people in attendance have some responsibility to have common sense. If you don't believe that this is a place that, like, if something resonates with you, I'm the type of person, it depends on the event, right? It would depend for me on the event that I'm going to. I'm the type of person, I don't really care for large events. I started getting around too many people, like concerts and, parades and all this stuff. I don't really care for them. It's not really my thing. Cause it just be too much going on. Right. So I'm the type of person, I would hear that, police are banned. I'm like, not really my thing. I'm not with it. If it was a smaller event, an event in a city or a state where I could be armed, the people with me could be armed, and things like that, I would probably handle it differently, right? Why can't the people attending also have to bear the burden of common sense? common sense shouldn't be a burden, but y'all know what I'm saying. We would hope not, but these days, um, you know, but making or holding people responsible for the decisions that they make and not trying to force these things onto people. Yes, we don't want people to die. We don't want people to be unsafe. We don't want people putting themselves in a bad situation. But if you look at, you know, policing in general, I feel like not as it relates to the parade, but in a lot of ways, I feel like with our law enforcement, with officers, they have been doing things or not necessarily focusing on uh as much on specifically like your violent crimes. It's been a lot of officers that have responded to or spend or waste time on very petty crimes, okay, that lead to escalated situations, lead to unnecessary interactions, okay, and as a result of that, also, yes, with some programming that the media has done, and also with some truthful things that the media has told about law enforcement, okay, and with what we've seen over the last year and how this is affecting people, how people would not kind of see this as an opportunity for even possibly a lesson. The people coming there are going to know. The people patronizing, attending, we're getting to a point where we want to constantly coddle and over police people. You know, so I just I just absolutely don't see the problem with it. I specifically don't see why you will want to force yourself on a group of people that don't necessarily want you to be there. Specifically, this is not like a community where people don't have a say in the matter. You literally have the organizer saying we're going to ban police, and then you have people that are going to attend. I don't know if these people buy tickets or they just show up. I don't know about much about these things in that regard. But you have people that will make a conscious decision like, I'm going to attend this. So that taxpayer money could go elsewhere, especially if it's not at the point where, like they said, like in the articles that I read, if something goes down, we'll call you, we'll have some of our own security here, whatever. But I'm interested to see what happens. I don't project negativity, I don't project bad things onto people. We'll see what happens when and as it happens, but it's definitely uh nothing to be mad about. So, but anyway, I think the parade is in they're banned to 2025. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I didn't think about them being banned that long. But hey, you know, may go great. Everybody may be peaceful and loving. Maybe the tides are turning. Maybe it'll be a lot of kumbaya going on. Um, and then you're gonna automatically have some people that don't agree with it. Even a part of that community that's like, yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not, putting myself in that type of situation. Especially when I know if something happened, I would have to rely on the police. So, but anyway, we'll see. Um, thank you to everybody in the chat tonight. Long tongue son said, but why 2025? I don't know. I think that's a good question. Ghost Saint said a lot of private security are just off-duty cops. And then it could be a total, or probably is a total virtue signaling. You know what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if any news kind of comes out of what happened there. I really hope that you don't have any crazies that take an opportunity to see this as a vulnerability and act stupid or be harmful. Because I think in a lot of ways that's what this news could do, and I don't think that's something they considered either. But I don't think you could have done something like this and not made it known. So hopefully just the statement alone doesn't attract like crazies and people trying to be harmful and stupid and trying to prove a point. But the world we live in, you just never know. You just never know. And me personally, as somebody who suggests people to carry because you never know, right? And having that ability to protect yourself. And now people that are not going to be carrying, not going to have the officers there. If something goes down, you're going to have to possibly rely on somebody, right? But MM said it's NYC. You will have crazy wolves and everything in between. They are shooting in broad day in NYC. That's something I've been seeing like on video, and that's so crazy to me. That's so crazy to me, But if somebody will put on a parade and not consider that, and if you will willingly, nobody's forcing nobody to go here. All this is a choice. Like, that's what people need to remember. This is a choice from them banning the police, even to the attendees that will be there. Nobody is being forced to be there. This is all free will, right? And so, if somebody would choose to be there knowing this information, knowing that the police are being banned, that's the choice they made. Savage Donald Trump said NYC people can't act right when 12 around. Imagine no 12. But yeah, I'm gonna keep y'all updated. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what it is to talk about. Regardless of how we feel about the officers being there, obviously they have a right to make this choice because they are doing so. So it just goes from there. But I'm not holding back. I'm just laughing at y'all in the comments. I was about to say something and you just made me forget. But anyway. All right. Thank y'all for the super chats. I am about to get out of here. Thank you to my patrons. Thank you to everyone who supports my channel. A special thank you to my VIP patrons, Ray and Daniel. If you would like to support my channel, the link to my Patreon and my merch is available below. And we will be talking soon. See y'all. Bye.